Welcome to the September edition of Northeast Journal. I'm your host, Joe Cullen. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll attend the groundbreaking for the new Wildwood Library in Mahtomedi. We'll learn about the Washington County Historical Society, and we'll go to the Farmers Market in Oakdale. All that and more is straight ahead on Northeast Journal. Hello everyone and welcome to the September edition of Northeast Journal. I'm your host, Joe Cullen. Every month on Northeast Journal, we give you an inside look at the people and places that make up the northeast section of the Twin Cities. The Wildwood Library in Mahtomedi closed its doors recently to get ready for a renovation project. Leaders from Washington County and the city of Mahtomedi recently gathered at the site for a groundbreaking to kick off construction. Here's some highlights.
We're doing a groundbreaking ceremony today. We officially start construction tomorrow on the site, and we're looking forward to taking down this building so we can start fresh with a brand new building that's going to bring a lot of new program needs for the communities.
It's a very exciting day, and I think one that the staff's been waiting a long time for. As you know, in any project like this, there's an idea, and then there's a lot of planning before it actually starts. So to actually be here today and watch shovels go into the ground is going to be another milestone for us.
This new library will be about a third larger, and we met several times, I think at least 3 with the community, and got their input in the type of library they want it to be. And within budgetary constraints, we gave them the most library they could ask for. It really met a lot. Much of what they were asking for, it really meets. So it's really good to produce something that the community really asked for.
We're going to see a little bit larger library, so it's growing by about 3,000 square feet. We're going to have some new meeting room spaces, lots of windows, just a different feel to the library with more programming spaces, small conference and meeting spaces, and just flexibility to change programming as time changes.
Appreciate you all being here today. We appreciate everything the county and the board commissioners have done for Mahtomedi and for the library, and we look forward to a brand new building that'll be better than we can really imagine, and will give service here for at least another 50 or 100 years. Thank you for being here.
Each Wednesday from summer through fall, the parking lot near Oakdale City Hall is transformed into a bustling farmers market. We recently visited on a sunny afternoon to see what we could find there.
The Oakdale Farmers Market is a community event that runs June through October. It ends in the beginning of October, but it's just a place for the community to get local goods, products, produce, and even food truck items as well. Stop by for lunch.
The Bearwood Sugars is a small hobby business making pure maple syrup, and a few other wild berry jellies and syrups.
Today, right here is our canned goods, and we have the different varieties of pickles, our spaghetti sauce, and our salsa, which are very well known. They're both sugar-free, which is great this time. And then, of course, we have the jams and jellies, and then we have what we're most known for, which are the Pa's favorites. And these are shipped throughout the United States. The orders come in from everywhere for these. This is what's put us on the map for the United States, is the Pa's favorites. And it's a blend between a dill and a bread and butter. So it's a sweet and sour. So just when you think it's a dill, it's like, nope, it's a bread and butter.
Oakdale is strange in the sense there's no downtown. So City Hall is kind of that main hub, Richard Walton Park. So might as well put the farmers market right down in the center of the park.
Definitely the people, the neighborhood, the people that come out are so thankful to have this, and they appreciate it, and they support it. They're very aware of it, and the vendors that come with the same appreciation to be here as the customers have for the vendors. So it just makes for a great team.
Good little market. The vendors are all nice people, and the people that come are always seem to be happy and enjoying it. So I would invite anybody that sees this on your show or your program to definitely come and check out the Oakdale Farmers Market. Every Wednesday from 2 to 6.
The markets goes strong through September, so make sure to come out still in September when we got the apples, pumpkins, the squash, and yeah, it rolls right into that indoor market starting in November.
It's time for a short break. When we come back, we'll learn about the Washington County Historical Society.
I'm always the first one up. I'm always up for a challenge. I'll overcome any obstacle. I don't believe in limits. I refuse to be average.
Welcome back to Northeast Journal. The Washington County Historical Society serves as a historical umbrella for the county's historical organizations and acts as a community resource for individuals and organizations seeking historical information. The Washington County Historical Society is currently undergoing a $5 million capital campaign to renovate a property in Stillwater into a heritage center. In just a few minutes, we'll talk with Brent Peterson, the Executive Director of the Washington County Historical Society. But first, here's a short video about the capital campaign.
How do we maintain our connection to those who came before us? How do we learn from where we came? By preserving tomorrow's history. Since 1934, the Washington County Historical Society has helped people find out how those who came to the area long ago shaped this place we now call home. Through many decades, the Historical Society has preserved important artifacts and documents that have shaped Washington County, from the eastern Twin Cities, Cottage Grove, and Forest Lake, to the St. Croix. That's a lot of history. School groups tour the Hay Lake School in Scandia. Visitors attend programs at the Etter School in Oakdale. Tourists explore the sawmills of Marine on St. Croix, Arcola, and Point Douglas. All see bits and pieces of our history. But the Historical Society has no one place to showcase the richness Washington County has to offer. Nowhere to exhibit the 29-foot bateau used in the spring log drive down the St. Croix River. Nowhere to share the story of Sam Bloomer, a Civil War hero from Stillwater who lost his leg at the Battle of Antietam, or the path to Olympic gold by Jesse Diggins of Afton. Nowhere to explore the Native American history that was here long before waves of immigrants came to cut trees and reap the benefits the great St. Croix had to offer. Preserving Tomorrow's History, our $5 million capital campaign to build a heritage center, will provide the means to bring our history out of cupboards and boxes, offering Washington County residents and visitors a new perspective. Initial plans include space for a logging exhibit that will walk visitors from forest to river to town and help them understand the role the lumber from our forests played in furniture and buildings throughout America. Another exhibit will compare the fashions of the 1860s and 1960s and ask visitors to consider how we dress and who we are as a society. The third exhibit hall will feature the photography of John Runk, the famous photographer of the 20th century. We'll also look at the role of black baseball players in our hometown and across the country, and explore the earliest peoples of this land, the Native Americans, and how they were moved to make room for settlers. But this is only the beginning. The future Heritage Center will hold traveling exhibits from museums like the Smithsonian and the Library of Congress, explore gangsters in the Prohibition era, and highlight the role women had in founding Washington County. And the Heritage Center will continue to document and lift up the events and people that are making history here today. You could be part of this exciting new chapter of the Washington County Historical Society. you can assure that much like your grandparents, your grandchildren and great-grandchildren have a sense of their place in the world. You can have a role in making history alive and vibrant by becoming part of this campaign to preserve tomorrow's history. Please join us. Thank you.
And I'm now joined by the Executive Director of the Washington County Historical Society, Brent Peterson. Brent, I want to thank you so much for joining me today on Northeast Journal.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
And as I mentioned, we just watched the short video that was created talking about the capital campaign that you're undergoing. And before we get into all that, what exactly, for those who maybe aren't familiar, what exactly is the Washington County Historical Society? What kind of things does your organization do?
Our organization really talks about, preserves, and collects the history of Washington County and the state of Minnesota. We have several different museums throughout the county, and a lot of our artifacts are either on display or in storage. And we hold events, programs throughout the year. Our museums are only open during the summer, however.
Okay, and I know our organization covers some parts of Washington County, including Oakdale, where there's the schoolhouse, the one-room schoolhouse that's out by their Discovery Center, and I understand you guys help operate that.
Yeah, the Eder School out there at the Nature Center was moved there in the early 2000s by the Lake Elmo Oakdale Historical Society. They did a fabulous job, won awards for their restoration, preservation of the school, and was moved right off of the farmstead where it sat for many, many years. The organization, that historical society, dwindled in number and eventually folded. And then we picked up the programming for the schoolhouse, where we have it open 10 Sundays during the summertime. We have interns that come and help that organization, that schoolhouse. And we also have some great events, including our Root Beer Float Day.
That sounds like fun. Now, as I mentioned, we just showed the video that was created for your organization, and I first saw that at a Mahtomedi city council meeting. I understand you're kind of making the rounds to various communities within the county, showing that video to kind of drum up support. So tell us a little bit more about that. I understand you're hoping to construct this heritage center.
Well, we purchased this building in Stillwater on South Greeley Street near Highway 36 back in 2013. We immediately leased the building out to the Minnesota Department of Transportation. They used the building for 5 years as their headquarters for the new river crossing across the St. Croix River. After they left at the end of 2017, we took the building over and have started the process of getting the plans drawn, exhibit designs, to make this a world-class heritage center. The first organization that we did go to ask for funding was the county itself. We are the Washington County Historical Society. We asked them for $500,000 over a course of 5 years, so $100,000 every year to help for the renovation. In that request, we also stated that we are going to go to every community in Washington County, and there's over 30 of them, and ask the other county communities that we serve to help with that funding. And you saw us at Mahtomedi, and just last night we were at Oak Park Heights, and next week we're going to another 6 different organizations.
So I'm sure you've gotten a lot of practice, not only watching the video as it shows for the various councils, but kind of the pitch you're giving, and I'm sure you're probably getting similar questions from a lot of those different communities.
Well, the biggest question is, why do we need it? And the Washington County Historical Society began in 1934 with people from all across the county meeting and determining that we need to preserve our history. Well, we've done a very good job. The collections of the Washington County Historical Society grow every year. Unfortunately, the space, the proper storage space, does not grow. And so we are basically out of proper storage for these great artifacts that date from the 1700s all the way until today. And of course, every day is history, so we keep collecting our history. So we need more space, properly store the artifacts. We need more space to exhibit those artifacts and tell the stories of Washington County to the people that come and visit. And also, we need a bigger research center. The more documents we have, the more information we have, the more people want to see that. And our research requests have tripled just in the last couple of years. So we need a larger research area to accommodate all those requests.
Imagine, I mean, so much history across the entire state, but I mean, especially Washington County, between Stillwater and then areas that, were even Oakdale, that was, farmland, really not all that long ago and has grown into what it is now. It seems like there's just so many stories to tell within the county.
The county itself is so diverse. You talk about Stillwater and their industry, and you talk about Oakdale with the agriculture, but the lumber industry depended upon the agriculture to feed all the lumberjacks who were up in the forest cutting down the trees. So there's a lot of comparisons and a lot of interactives between the two different types of economies that Washington County shows. So with that, we get more and more type of documents, photographs, artifacts that we need to take care of, and a lot of different stories as well.
And one thing I think you even mentioned when you were in before the Mahtomedi City Council, just even Mahtomedi with it, kind of being a resort area and all that, and just kind of keeping those stories alive too, I'm sure.
Well, Mahtomedi is a great example of a unique community within Washington County. It had that resort area, it had the Wildwood, but you also had the gangsters, a Barker gang, and then you just have the community itself and the everyday businesses. And a lot of people will come up and talk about Mahtomedi and talk about the Piccadilly. It's not there anymore, but people still remember that. And we have some artifacts from the Piccadilly menu and that type of thing that people will love to see, and it floods back memories for them. And these are the type of things that a historical society does. The historical society saves that history, and it's the foundation of every community. It's a foundation that people can build on for the next generation.
Now, in the video we watched, it mentioned, some of the different exhibits and things that you're hoping to do. It looks like kind of a nice variety. I think something that would appeal to just about anyone.
Before we even got into the exhibits, we did an interpretation plan. We interviewed people who would come to our organization. We interviewed people and businesses. What would you like to see as an exhibit in this new facility? And we got all sorts of answers, but the most common answers, of course, was the logging history. And how did they do that? I mean, how did they cut down millions and millions of trees, billions of board feet that would float down the river, cut it up, and then end up in a house here in Mahtomedi? Or the rafts would float down to Dubuque, Iowa, as far south as St. Louis. How did that all happen? So our largest exhibit is going to be on the lumber industry. The process from going up into the woods, cutting down the trees, having it float down the river, get to the mill. Who were the people that were actually doing all this work? We have lumberjack, but lumberjack is a general term for all people working in the lumber industry. And then who supported the lumber industry? As I mentioned before, the farmers, the people who had the meat markets, the people who sold the shoes and the clothing for the lumberjacks in the woods. So the lumber industry just wasn't in Stillwater, wasn't along the river. It was the entire county that had to support that. There's another exhibit about a photographer in Stillwater. His name was John Runk. Now, John Runk was a professional photographer for 65 years, but he also collected photos. He just loved photography, and he collected old photos. His historic photo collection at the Minnesota Historical Society numbers over 4,000 photos, and it's the largest individual collection that they have. He took photos up and down the county, throughout the state of Minnesota and Wisconsin. His photos are used in books, other exhibits, but there's never been an exhibit of the photographer himself. So we're going to do that. We're going to do a fashion exhibit on clothing from the 1860s and the 1960s, and compare those, a Civil War uniform that we have to a Vietnam uniform that we have. Dresses that the women wore all the way up here, or swimsuits that they only showed a little bit of ankle back at that time, to the 1960s itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dotted bikini. That was a little longer than I thought. But those are the three main exhibits that we're working on right now. In the front, we have some display cases. One is going to be on Native Americans, because they were the first ones here. And so we're going to tell their story as you come in, and then also a story about the black baseball history in Washington County, which is very, very unique.
I happen to notice when looking around your website, looks like you guys do quite a bit with baseball, with some of the don't know if reenactment's the right word, but kind of the old time style games. And
We have a award-winning educational program called the St. Croix Baseball Club. The club was an actual club back in Stillwater in the 1860s. We play by the rules of 1860, and we go around the county and around the state playing this game. Anyone who wants to play it, but they have to play it by our rules. And some of them are quite unique. Well, first of all, you don't play with gloves. It's all barehanded. The pitching is underhand, and the batter is out if the ball is caught on the fly or the first bounce.
oh, wow.
And there's other little rules as well, but it's a lot of fun. And it also gives us an opportunity to go out and talk about that time in history. What was Minnesota like, only being a state for 2 years? Who was the governor? You can see in the future, the Civil War coming. Minnesota was the first state to answer Lincoln's call for volunteers. Who were those volunteers? And yes, there were some from Washington County. So it gives us a great opportunity to mix fun and history, and people having a great time watching our games. Our next game will be down in Northfield for Jesse James Days. So
fun.
We can look on our website, like you mentioned, and you can see where we're going to be in the next few weeks.
Now, if all goes well and you're able to keep raising funds, what's kind of the potential timeline? When do you hope to continue work and hopefully have a grand opening and all that?
Oh, it all depends who you talk to. I'm a little bit more aggressive with our timeline. I would like to be open before Labor Day of next year. There's others in our group, and especially our campaign consultant, who says, well, maybe we can have a holiday open house or stuff like that. But we're hoping for next year, if all the funding comes through that we hope.
So I'm sure it's a lot of work, but also a lot of excitement and a lot to look forward to.
It is a lot of work, and it's something that we've needed for many, many years in Washington County. There's not one central location that people can go to and do the research on their family, or to see, maybe a Smithsonian exhibit, traveling exhibit is coming. We can hold those now. We can't do that now. They can come and look at the other parts of history, come and look at the collection, come and see what those people who built this county actually used, and actually understand our history a little better.
Now, if people are watching this who maybe want to get involved and help, I imagine you wouldn't turn them away.
Oh, we always love volunteers. As you know, all county historical societies and smaller historical societies run on volunteers. If anyone out there is looking to volunteer, help us out with the capital campaign, would like to be a guide at one of our museums in Stillwater, up in Scandia, just give us a call or send us an email, and we'll be happy to talk to you about that.
Great. We'll get your website up on the screen with the graphics, so if people want to visit that
Fantastic.
and learn
Thanks.
more, be perfect. Well, Brent, I want to thank you so much. Wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we'll have you on in the not too distant future to talk about how things are coming along.
I appreciate you having me on, Joe. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And it's time for a short break. We'll be right back with more of Northeast Journal in just a minute.
I am a veteran. I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet.
DAV helps veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe.
So veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory was finding the help I needed. Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Welcome back to Northeast Journal. By now, you're likely aware of the hands-free law that went into effect on August 1st that made it against the law in Minnesota to hold your phone in your hand while driving. This has brought renewed interest in the phone box movement, which is a story we first brought you a couple of years ago. Let's take a look. Most of us like to think we're attentive while driving. TJ Therian certainly did until one day his 4-year-old son asked him why he kept checking his phone in the car. That moment led TJ and his wife Melissa to create the phone box movement.
For us, the problem has been that we typically keep our phones in the cup holder or they sit on our laps, and even if we don't mean to engage with them while we drive, they're still tempting, and anytime our phones light up, we see them and we're tempted to grab them. And And so we were the people on the road at a red light or just whenever, reaching for our phones for whatever reason. And we realized a lot of people kind of do the same thing. Up in your spot.
After a bit of brainstorming, the Therian family came up with the idea for the phone box.
Every time we get in our car, I never look at my glove box and think, I should throw my phone in there. So that's kind of where the idea came. We just need something that's easy, it's simple, it doesn't require turning anything on or activating an app. It's just put your phone in a box, and we thought it was simple enough for us to help change our habits. So that's kind of where it started.
After designing a prototype, TJ and Melissa launched a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter to raise money for the manufacturing of the phone boxes. They reached their goal in only 6 days. Positive reviews of the boxes began coming in immediately.
The funniest thing is a lot of people have told us once they started using it, they love using it, and when they park their car and go into the office or into their home, they forget their phone in the box because it's out of sight and out of mind, which is a good thing. It's frustrating too because you have to go back and get it, but that tells us that it's working.
TJ gives us a quick look at one of the boxes.
Open the box, you put your phone in the box and close the box, and your phone is safe and sound, and you drive. Plain and simple. On the back there's a double-sided adhesive that sticks to your dashboard on your car. So whether or not you put on your dashboard or somewhere else in your car, it's really all about just being a visual reminder to put your phone in it when you drive. Plain and simple. It doesn't lock you out. It's not soundproof. It doesn't cut off your cell phone signal. It's just a box.
The Therians decided to partner with the organization People Against Distracted Driving for the phone box movement, and were shocked to learn the statistics about people who text and drive.
What was really surprising to us was that distracted driving is more harmful than drunk driving, just due to statistics alone. You're more likely to get in a crash if you're on your phone than if you were using alcohol. And we know that using alcohol is catastrophic. So that's one other thing that's really urged us to figure out what a good solution could be.
The boxes can be purchased online at thephoneboxmovement.com. The Therians hope that if even one life is saved because of their phone box, then their movement has been worth it.
The box isn't anything special, but we view it as a tool. It's just a tool to help you form a better habit. That's all it is. So if your current habit is every 5 minutes, I'm going to glance out at my phone, we are trying to help people form a new habit. Just put your phone in the box and leave it there. And then look up while you're driving. Just keep your eyes on the road. And it's as simple as that.
That's all we have time for on this month's show. Thanks for tuning in, and join us again next month for another edition of Northeast Journal.